Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
And discuss the other issues. Mahama promises Okada riders electric motorbikes when elected president. I think it flows from Mahama reiterates promise to legalize Okada business. I'll come to our conversation. So let's just let's enjoy these ones. I think we can dispatch this quickly. The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has reiterated his decision to operationalize the commercialization of motorbikes, commonly referred to as Okada, when he gets the nod in the upcoming presidential election. He said he's also negotiating with a company to produce electric motorbikes for Okada riders. He said this promise was in the NDC Manifesto 2020 election. He said this promise was in NDC's manifesto for the 2020 election, but was met with a lot of criticism. Mr. Mahama, when addressing the Okada riders at Ashaiman, emphasized that Okada business has contributed to employment, offering over 1 million jobs to the youth. Mr. Mahama noted that the legalization will take effect as soon as he is sworn in as president on January 7, 2025. He, however, urged vehicle users to respect motorists when using the road. He said the legalization will also involve education for Okada riders and vehicle users on road safety. Quote, I want to assure all Okada riders across all the regions that when I assume office as the next president in 2025, I shall legalize Okada. We are repeating that promise in our 2024 manifesto. Your freedom as Okada riders will be handed to you as soon as I am sworn in as president on January 7th, unquote, he said. 2 questions. Uncle Alex.
I think that's...
Already, our roads are choked, okay? And it is a difficulty when you are moving from your home to work. And this is by reason of the infiltration of these Mahama Kandu or Kambu, however they call it. Those yellow, Abubuya, tricycles and things like that. Already, it started with the Okada people taking over our streets and things like that, right? Is it just enough to say that you are going to legalize it? Or you are going to create another road system that will ensure that these Okada riders will effectively, do their business without necessarily creating havoc on our roads?
Okay. I think that it's important to look at it with pros and cons. Okay? Now, what are the biggest cons or problems with Okada? I don't agree with congestion, because congestion is cars. Cars create more congestion than Okada. They are part, but they are not. Abubuya slows traffic. But in terms of the vehicular movement, it's rare to see Okadas in the night, but there's heavy traffic at the end of rush hour. And you cannot look at the situation strictly from Accra. Go to Tamale and see the work that Okadas and Abubuyas are doing for the movement of people there and elsewhere. So you have to look at the national effect of this. But yes, congestion. I will tick the box to a point. Then you have health issues, because the number of people who end up in A&E from being on a motorbike and having an accident and not wearing a helmet, etc., has increased for me cost and things in the health sector. Because where there are a lot of motorbikes, which is not regulated, you have a lot of accidents which create problems to Ghanaians as a cost of health. Fine. These are for me maybe just a few of the cons. But what is pro? We have a transport problem in the country. Let me start from, even before I get to the transport problem, let me start from the international perspective. The international issue is environmental cleanliness. Cars, industry are some of the biggest polluters of the system, and we all in the world are suffering it. How much pollution does Okada riders do compared to cars? So if you had Okada riders, aboboyes, in using electric as their main thing, you are dealing with a serious environmental issue that this country. That's why John Mahama mentioned that we must look at the electric aspect. So you have to look at it as to what are you trying to solve. One, it deals with the environmental issues. Even if you are using petrol or diesel motors, it is nothing compared to what cars, huge buses are doing. That's why even with the buses that they want to bring, they are looking at the electric option, even though there's doomsaw. But let's go on from there. So they are looking at the electric option because they are less
of a pollutant.
Yes, less of a pollutant than these other sources of this thing. So the environmental issue is very clear that maybe Okadas are better. Secondly, there are lack of regulation or lack of enforcing the law with them is what the problem is.
Exactly.
Because they are not, they break traffic light, they don't follow the traffic light system, blah, blah, blah. And that's where people then say congestion. It's not so congestion, it's just that they misbehave, they drive anyhow, and all kinds of things. So that is where it's solving the problem saying we won't have you at all or regulating you. And it's like the problem that maybe Holland, for example, had. The red light district didn't come as a result of nothing happening. Prostitution was going rife. So they said, we'll regulate it. I'm just using as a simple example. Okay. We'll regulate it. So when you go to Holland, there's a whole red light district that deals with prostitution. If you are caught doing prostitution outside of that place, you have a problem.
So they have an enclave of prostitution.
Yes, yeah, and it's a big issue. It's actually become a tourist attraction for people who go to Holland. Yeah. They go to the red light district just to see it for themselves, where there are glasses, windows, the girls to display, they have curtains. So I'm not saying that it is, I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying that you look at the problem, and depending on what type of society you have, you look at regulation to solve it. The number of people who have not missed their flight because they were able to get on Okada and get to the airport because of traffic congestions of other cars, nobody has measured it yet. You understand? So they serve a purpose, but they are not regulated. And the same thing is now happening with Galamsey. A proper lack of regulation and dealing with how people are allowed to operate or not operate is what appears to be lacking in the system. There are other factors, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I'm saying that regulation is key to anything that is growing. So what will happen? Oh, no, we have banned Okada. Will it stop people from going to go and pick people on the street? You soon start getting an outcry. When you get to certain parts of the Volta region or in any other, to move from a junction into where your hometown is, it's only Okada that will take you, or Abubuya. If not, you'll be there for 1 hour before the next car will come to take you, or 2. So don't look at Accra alone. You have to look at the pros and cons. And I think that the president is spot on. We must regulate it. We must ensure that if you are riding on a motorbike, even let alone just Okada, a motorbike, you are not wearing a helmet, you should be arrested. You must have a helmet so that when you have the accident, brain injury doesn't come in, you deal with your leg issues. But this is part of the problem. Too many people have had accidents which have created problems. They ride haphazardly. And it is interesting, when they bring police on the road, you will notice, you get to a traffic light, when they know the police are there, you see a whole raft of motorcycles, they've all stopped. After 1 week, when the police are not present, you just see them riding through. So you have stopped, all the cars have stopped, the Okadas are going through. So it becomes imperative, one, that they have proper number plates and they are registered properly. And we must start now looking at the option of cameras. So as people go through lights, they can be traced and either you pay a fine, or at the worst, your motor is seized, so that you know that next time, when the light is red, I will stop, because that is also creating problems. They can check your speed, etc., etc. But to say that, oh, we should ban them, they are not going anywhere anytime soon. When Ghana gets to the point where we create, and they started with Ayalolo and stuff in Accra, but I've told you that Accra is not Ghana. But you have proper lanes, as you are saying. You have lanes created in, unlike in other countries, they have cycle lanes. Yeah. Bicycles are the ones. They are even moving away from in the inner cities. You cannot drive car. If you get into the center, you cannot drive car. You can ride a bicycle. You cannot even take motorbike of a certain cc into the distance. And these are their large shopping centers. So when you go, you walk. So if others have seen the use of that, and they are regulating and bringing more two-wheelers, less environmental this thing, etc., we should also now be looking to rather expand. Look, one of the things I used to enjoy when I was young, if you go to Togo, the moment you enter Togo, all you see is mopeds and this thing. Cars are there, but their culture was two-wheelers. And I used to be fascinated by that, because it was the first time I saw a lot of women just riding on motor bikes. So there is something to be said for it, but they are regulated there very well, and we rather are just allowing it to go. So all John Mohammed has said is, for me, when you look at the pros and the cons, I'm clear in my mind that it's a good policy, and under regulation, like most things, if properly implemented, is the way to go. And we should regulate the Okada riders. And they do serve a very important purpose, especially in areas outside of the capitals of the regions. Tamale, from the time we grew up, was always a motorcycle town. It has always been. I used to wonder, you see, Tamale was the first place I went and saw 5 people on a motorbike. And I was like, whoa, this is dangerous. You understand what I'm saying? No regulation. But you go, you see 4 or 5 people, they found it out. You see somebody on a motorbike, he's carrying spare tire, one on this. Those things require regulation. It's illegal. Don't do it. And it's dangerous for the people, other motorists on the road. So let's regulate it. But to think that it will not be there, or people won't do it, you are going to rather take it into the echelons of, how do you call it? It's like people saying that, oh, yes, if I go on the telly now, and I want the forex rate for pound, they will tell you that it is 18 something. If you want to buy pound today, if you don't have over 20 Ghana for one, you can't get it. You can't get it. You won't get it in the forex bureau. So it is now feeding and allowing the black market to thrive. That is the reality, not what somebody is putting on paper. So the reality is that our exchange
model, and I've discussed it several times with different people, as to how I think we should be able to run the transport system that will decongest the towns, and also that can create a platform where people can conveniently ply the route and things like that without any difficulty, right? So are you saying that the best way, Uncle Alex, in addressing our transportation problem is the legalization of Okada? Is that what you truly
saying that.
want for this country? No, I'm just asking the question because it's a follow-up. Because from what I take from your submission, with the greatest of respect, sir, is the fact that there are some other areas where it is difficult to even get a vehicle. And that is when you find these Okada guys providing the service, right? Absolutely. You talk about the fact that, sometimes when you go for events, people just jump on the bike and then off they go. But of course, you've also spoken about the fact that the only reason why you may want it more regularized or regulated is because of their defiance of the traffic regulations.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying that, for instance, if we have other means of transportation, like the trams, like the trains, like things like that, where we have created a system where the central business district is discongested, and if you don't have maybe a sticker, you can't even drive there. It's more regulated and things like that. Do you think that we need that? Because I feel
it will take us 10 years,
right,
minimum, to even introduce these alternatives,
right,
in the capitals.
But shouldn't we introduce it?
But it should be part of a grand plan.
Yeah, but if you
in between
Okada,
now and that plan, what do you do? This is the key question.
Because I feel
because
like
you still have people on the road trying to get from A to B. People had a grand plan of even SkyTrain. We saw an issue that they are going to put trams in the sky, or we've heard the plans. Nothing has happened.
the Ayalolo bus was a solution.
Yes, but
Yes.
Adam will solve all the problems.
Yeah, but it solved.
So you
could have built on.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree that looking at trams, looking at buses like Ayalolo, looking at rail in a proper way, if everybody knew that if at 6 o'clock the train from Tema to Accra was reliable, every 6 o'clock it will move, 6:30 it will move, 7 o'clock it will move, every 30 minutes constant that train will move, people would park their cars at the station.
Absolutely,
and
I've
jump
said
on
this.
the train.
Several
You understand?
times. I've said this.
So I don't have a problem with your suggestion.
I don't want to drive.
And I'm not saying, but it will not solve the immediate. And when are you going to get that? So in the interim, it's because of that gap that partially that Okada has become important.
I'm not
Because
saying it's
it is
not important.
Okada drivers are filling a gap that we have not been able as a government over the years to fill.
The void is created by reason of our superficial implementation of policies. And I'm saying that the introduction of the Ayalolo bus system
Yes.
should have been sustained. And we should have built on that. And we must
100%
so
agree with
Muhammad
you.
should be telling me about how he will resuscitate
But he
the
has said that.
Ayalolo. Yes, so focus on that.
Where did this,
build on that.
Look, where was the statement made?
This
It
was made in
with
Ashaiman.
No, with Okada riders
Yeah.
meeting. So he wasn't addressing the whole transport issue of Ghana. He was speaking to Okada riders and giving them confidence that I will find a way to ensure that you are not hounded, but you also must know that I expect certain things of you.
But that is my problem there.
Yes.
It is not an isolated situation.
Yes.
It feeds into a national narrative
Yes.
of how our transportation system should function.
Yes.
And I'm saying that if you are with Okada people
Yes.
and you are making promises to them
Yes.
because you are with them,
Yes.
then you are defeating the general transportational
No, I
structure
don't
that
agree
we should
with you.
have. That you may disagree with me, but that's how I see it.
I'm
respectfully.
saying that if you are saying that we should not regularize Okada and we should leave it to continue the way it is because there are other transport forms that should be used, and you haven't told us when and how those other transport forms are going to be able to be implemented, I disagree with you, because Ayalolo on its own is not going to fill the gap that Okada riders are filling now.
All right, Dr. Marzuq.
Anyway,
By the way, I don't hate Okada riders.
No. It's a debate. It's a debate, and it's good you ask the
And it's
question.
also that we can have a more freer, fluid system where everybody can go about their businesses without any fear or hesitation. You want to play the video? Okay. Well, my producer Bless says he wants to play the video. So let's just watch this video. We'll come back and listen to Dr. Marzuq in respect of this one. But I need the volume, please. Yeah. See. Hey, what's happening here?
Maybe a motorcycle, riding a motorcycle. And your safety is my concern, because your safety is my safety.
I'm not in disagreement.
And I see educated drivers also say, if there's a motorcycle in front of you, it has a right to be there in front of you. Now, another thing, any insurance. You legalize here, you know insurance for no better transit. Send me bet me CSC more insurance no. Send a beya BBAC na a cover only will ride and in right now. So I can say with the motor no yeah Okada insurance yeah more insurance cover, because according to the law in this with the far passenger commercial use, and so you legalize here na a chance when you are say mobetimi afa passenger nti also we a special insurance package emma wo de passenger no say na be ya BBAC na e che say mwenya insurance cover. Apart from that, mo license plate you be mo different color license plate. So you Okada rider, you better register a bike no for when you see blue license plate, you know. Private motorcycles when you see blue license plate, you know. Okada motorcycles when you see different color license plates. So that the BIA motor Libya, you said this is a licensed commercial bike operator. I feel so. Mobile reflective jackets. Senebeya Obia Obebia Obenhu say this is a motorcycle rider coming. And I just wish a reflective plate. Send a police way a share sa reflective Jesse vest, you know. Mobile Senebeya Najo Monam Bebia Obia Benhu say there's a rider ahead of them. And today na yen shisha yedibaba Senebeya ebeba omuhoban. I feel you will be different because security is so here. I feel nipa be bring edi omuho abeshim to say Okada riders and na omode motorcycle ni edi bone. Bebe ya krofo. And so you register the genuine commercial motor operators are. You better find details no bibia. And to BBS you better be who said baby we on home. It is sign your man also you the better horse and bibia.
Mr. Mohammed also disclosed that he has spoken with some companies who have expressed desire to establish an assembly plant for electric motorbikes that will provide bikes for riders at subsidized cost.
Assembly there, and they said, now say many companies minu akasa. Now omo ba be assembly plant for electric motorbikes. Enti ano, wonjia Obeya no work and pay high purchase na utua kakra. Na sa moto no enum petrol. On be charge battery na to ho. Enti wo ride na o battery be wo a. Wo call baby aye exchange of batteries. Na ye you battery e dey to charge na ma o battery fofo no utua be kakra na wato awe dwuma so. Majuma hu hia pa enti mesremo say ye ba ni regulate a ni legalize a ye be pese ye no mo be ba ho na mo so mo check mo ho mo members a omu nimra no so no mo atwe mo aso say na be ya ye nu ye ho say ye legalize ye safety and be the number one thing. Enti mudru traffic light legalize mo mudru traffic light ubejina meta hu se mudru traffic light mo hwe naka biamba na na mafom enti mo amoye sa no ye legalize ya o se mujai mo so mo be di mra so to say all road users.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching the News 5 News segment here on Pan African Television. My name is Kwame Owusu Danso. Let me come to Dr. One and only Marzuq and hear his submission on this matter.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
I over-agree with the former president, John Mahama. But when I say I over-agree with him, it means I agree with him more than 100%. Yes. You see, let's look at Okada as a multidisciplinary issue. If you single it out as a transport issue or a safety issue, you'll be wrong. It is highly multidisciplinary. It is about employment. It is about survival. It is about transportation. It is about crime. It is about law. it is about convenience. So if you analyze the concept of Okada contextually in Ghana, how it is applied here, and not how it is applied in Togo or in Niger or in Nigeria, you definitely will agree with the former president. I understand your position about safety. I understand your position about convenience. But Okada has come to stay. You have brought it. It has come to stay. And whether we regulate it or not, it will be with us. It is with us.
It's planted.
Yes.
It has grown.
Yes. Look, and then when you want to also discuss Okada, you apply what I call holistic approach. You see, don't look at it in the context of urban areas. Ghana is more rural than urban. Okada is the most suitable, the most convenient, the most appropriate means of transportation in almost all the rural areas in this country.
Right.
And we should not think that Accra is Ghana, or Tamale is Ghana, or Kumasi is Ghana. Not at all. But the rural Ghana is making a lot of effort at nation building. The contribution of rural Ghana to nation building is so much, yes, very phenomenal. And it is Okada. It is just about regulation. And then when he mentioned the regulation, he didn't end there. He brought, I mean, he mentioned some of the things that he would do in terms of regulation. He mentioned the wearing of reflectors to distinguish them from other users of the bicycle who may have negative intention. He mentioned that. He mentioned the number plates. He mentioned how the registration of all these things. Look, I know it is a problem, but when the regulation is applied positively, definitely it will be more beneficial than problematic. It will be highly beneficial. And again, look at Okada as a means of transportation, as a means of survival. In our context, so many people will have to rely on Okada to feed their families. Unemployment. So if you regulate it very well, and it becomes a source of employment to so many people, then of course it's good for the teeming youth. I understand your position on the road network. Road network is a huge project, and tackling it is 100% systematic. You cannot use, you mentioned 10 years, with all humility, with all due respect. You are being honest. Look, the kind of grand design that Kwame wants us to have in this country may take us 50 years to achieve. Look at, when people talk about road and a rail system and a transportation system, and they compare Ghana to America, they compare Ghana to UK, I laugh. Look at the number of people going underground in UK in a day for transportation. And that's why in UK, when you mention, I mean, you can meet a judge on board, yes. You can meet a secretary of state, everybody. It's using you. Yeah. Everybody you can meet because it is reliable. Yes. How many take 2019 or so, I was in US, and US was celebrating its 100th year of the rail system. Yes. 100th anniversary. So my brother. No. These people have invested. They started 100 years ago. Yes. But they started. Yes, they started. But they had an alternative when they started. But the alternative whatever it was horses. Whatever it was, there was an alternative. You understand that? Yes. And carriages. You understand that? Yes. So and that's why I mentioned systematism. We can start, but we should have an alternative. Now, if you ban Okada, you are banning the main source of transportation in rural Ghana. You are not fair. This is undemocratic. This is irresponsible. You should rather regulate it in such a manner that urban Ghanaians can use it productively. Rural Ghanaians can use it productively to enhance the economic fortunes of this country. I strongly believe that it has become a reality, whether sweet or bitter, and it must be fully regulated. If it is not, people will use it illegally, and whatever money that arises from the illegal use will rather be in the interest of some people. For example, if the police arrest somebody, and then a kind of transaction takes place, exchange of money, it becomes a matter between that person and the police. But if it is well regulated and the users are allowed to be taxed or to pay something to the state, I think it will be in the interest of the state. Let us regulate it. Let us also discuss it in the context of a multidisciplinary approach. It is not an issue within one or two areas. It is highly multidisciplinary, and we should look at it from that angle. And then, of course, take into consideration rural Ghana against urban Ghana and the collective interest of all Ghanaians. Thank you.
Most grateful to you, Dr. Marzuq. Good morning to you, KOD. In Togo, Benin Republic, Okada is big business because the youth don't have jobs. So they live on that. I, Moses, normally take Okada in Togo. Okada have numbers, KOD. If the so-called train is working in Nigeria, I would normally take train to one station before taking other buses to Ghana, which I have the card. Moses from Nigeria. Okay, I didn't quite get it, but thank you very much for your message this morning. Good morning to you, KOD, especially Honorable Alex Segbefia. Please, I want Ghanaians to carefully look at JM promises so far. You would understand that he is always consistent with his policies and programs since 2016 to 2020. And now, I don't know how our market women would have managed their businesses and homes if JM did not bring the yellow, some call it Mahama Kambu, others call it Abuboya in Yendi. Today, the visionary JM and NDC must be given the opportunity to rebuild this great country of ours. Thank you from Mash Taylor in Yendi. Thank you very much, Mash Taylor. KOD, I'm a teacher in Savaligu, but live in Tamale. Every day, many workers park their cars and beg for lift from motor riders. Haruna from Tamale sent in this one. All right. KOD, kindly inform, good morning to you and your partners, kindly inform Ghanaians that the progressive forces have an upcoming meeting. Therefore, all interested members are encouraged to contact Blessed Headman Alomaso on 0243 526 996 so they can be added to the Progressive Forces official WhatsApp platform. Thank you. Martin from Lakeside Estate Community 1, Progressive Forces member. I am the president of the Progressive Forces.
The Progressive Forces is part of Pan-African.
No, it's a movement for the youth.
So you have to pay.
Pan-Africa is pro-youth. Pan-Africa takes care of the youth. So you don't have to pay.
I do pro bono at Pan-African television, so...
Okay, you have a point.
Good morning. Electricity and water bills to go up. Hey, for more. To do more. Okay, now I'll come back to the other messages, but let me listen to Register on this subject matter, and then we can look at Dr. Marzuq's favorite topic for this morning.
I am of the opinion that a lot has been said, but you see, we need to identify that motorcycles are for three uses: courier services, private use, and now the commercial use.
Yeah.
And sadly, we have not built our roads with the use of bicycles and motorbikes as part of the grand design of our roads. So it becomes more dangerous, particularly when they are riding on the motorway and they don't have their own lanes on the motorway. And probably in rebuilding the motorway, we need to now reconsider getting lanes for them. Because in a number of instances, you have accidents happening when they are driving in between vehicles. But if you have commuter lanes
I'm on TV.
for the motorbikes,
I'm on TV.
you may not have the situation where you have accidents. And accidents do not only occur when people are riding Okada or for commercial purposes. It also occurs when people are riding motorbike privately, and that is even more dangerous because sometimes you are on the motorway, and the speed with which people who are riding their private motor pass you as if you are reversing. And definitely those are not Okada or commercial riders. Because if I go to sit behind a commercial driver, I wouldn't allow him to.
They cannot afford those type of motors even. That are moving at that pace.
You get it. So when it comes to issues of motorbike getting accident, in most instances, we are not dealing with Okada. But then I think that we need to also try to piece together some of the issues that the former president was raising. He had said that we need to decongest Accra and have another city for which a lot of government services should be rendered.
That would be brilliant.
But he said
But you not heard that one.
That's what I didn't hear.
Well, you have said that.
I didn't hear.
As part of
That's
our
actually
Okada
very,
address.
that's the Rwanda model.
Yeah, so if we are decongesting Accra and building a completely new city from the scratch, what it means is that the kind of houses you have in Accra, for which you will need to jump onto an Okada to be able to get your way around Accra, probably you may do those business outside of Accra. But you need to have some integrated transportation system that is able to link Accra to that new city that will be built for purposes of doing government business. And I was in Angola during the African Nations final, the previous time they hosted. And from the airport to the stadium, it's a vast area with service plot and everything, so they were doing all the underground thing. Yeah, and I'm sure by now they may have built it. Recently, when I was in Canada, Calgary, you realize that they were also building some new areas. And the first things they were doing was to provide all those service facilities that they need. So in building a new city, you probably will need to have a comprehensive plan that would have everything including transport. Probably we need to start thinking about even getting electric chargers in key places so that persons who want to migrate from fuel power vehicle to electric will have life a bit more easier. Our university campuses, for instance, will need to have electric chargers, properly position our health facilities like the hospitals, because where people go and they would have to wait for services, if we start planting electric chargers there, then it becomes easier for people to now be able to say, I want to buy an electric car. If I go to the ministry and I know I'll spend 2 hours there, it is possible to get 2 or 3 points where I will charge my vehicle, and then people will now think more environmental friendly. We were in China together, and you wake up in the morning and you look at the number of motorbikes, electric motorbikes. Chief, you remember, in the morning, a lot of electric motorbikes, because almost half of the population in China go by motorbikes, because if they don't, one building, the number of people that come out, if they will all have to jump on vehicle and move, there's no way they could get to their destination.
Yes. Use bicycles. Use
bicycles. So, no, I'm sure it will be difficult to now have the tram system because we have not designed our road to integrate trams. It may be difficult to have the subway system in Ghana, because at the time they built subway in UK and those places, they didn't have the kind of congestion they have in London today, I'm sure.
Rain will enter.
But can you imagine the contribution of subway to the economy of those countries, UK and all of them? It's a lot, because almost everybody travel by the rail system. But these are, you see, intercity transportation system. If I am moving from Ashaiman to Komtinai, I can't go by train. Seriously. And sometimes I may not even be able to go by bus because just from Ashaman to Community 9, which are adjoining communities, except that they are in different districts, the kind of transportation traffic that builds up sometimes, you can spend more than an hour in that traffic. And imagine you want to go to the airport, like Chief said, you'll be scared that you may miss your flight. And if you know what it means to miss a flight, I've missed a flight before, it's something else. So yes,
especially when you are broke.
Especially when you are broke, and then you have to change your ticket. You have to change your ticket, and then they take you off. They say no show. If you manage to even rebook, sometimes they won't rebook through the system, and then you get to every airport and they say we can't find your name. They now have to try. It's not an easy thing. So yes, it's important to look at it. The health issues, for instance, the use of helmet. If one person uses the helmet, what happens to the helmet? Is it that you need to disinfect the helmet before another person comes to use it? And these are some of the things we probably will need to look at, because you can't also get people onto the bike without the helmet. So if I give you the helmet and you use it, I may not know what you may carry. Should there be some health advice as to whether you need some alcohol to spray the helmet so that other people will use it?
Disinfectant.
Disinfectant, yeah.
Sanitizer.
So basically, you see,
alcohol, I can use it.
yeah?
If it is alcohol, I cannot use
No,
it.
but you use hand sanitizer. That's alcohol, basically.
I'm teasing you anyway.
Yeah. So you would need some of the health professionals now to advise as to how to deal with some of these issues that may come up in terms of.
Truthfully, it has never crossed my mind what you're saying.
Yeah.
When I was in Rwanda, I always used Okada, always, because that's that's what they have, essentially. And we all used it. The helmet is just pick it, wear it, you bounce. You don't even think about it. But I think there's a very valid point. I didn't even think about it at the time.
But you live in a country where you have a lot of people sweating.
Yeah.
Every day. And so the person sweat and come
We don't think about it, but that's the truth.
True.
So we need to look at some of these things and probably get the right
I tend
advice.
to agree with you, because the weather in Rwanda is different from the weather in Ghana. It's a little cold there.
Yeah. So we need to look at some of these things. I agree. I think we can manage it.
Hey, Charlie, this one, the way the time go, I hope we can deal with this bloodshed in Kaswabata. I've listened to the NDC chairman this morning. I was listening to him when he was speaking to my friend Kwesi Abuaje on NIT FM, and he was trying to explain to us what happened, and was explaining to Kwesi Abuaje that it is not the NDC that engineered this attack. It is rather the MPP, and they had to also respond, because a similar incident happened in 2020, and nothing was done about it, particularly from the quarters of the security agencies. And therefore this time around, well, said that they're not going to sit down for anybody to come and intimidate them again, because it appears that is how Akumsin always emerge victorious. And so they were trying to also protect themselves and prevent all of these things from happening. Dr. Marzuq, I'm starting with you. I mean, I can understand that the stakes are high. I can understand that now nobody is going to be cajoled, subjugated, or cowered into submission. They are going to actually do every and anything to ensure that they win. But one of the flashpoints is Kaswa, and clearly there's all indications that in this particular election, it is going to be bloody. We are learning from the reports that I've read that the son of the MP, Hawa Kumsin's son, Atuk Kumsin, has been stabbed, 3 others injured. Similarly, an NDC person has been injured. One person has been arrested who is the organizer for the NDC in that particular Awutu Senya East, I believe, constituency. He is linked to, what transpired, allegedly linked to what was transpired, and then he's been picked up by the police. I mean, my friend Dara Leseopo, who is the communications officer, has issued a statement in which he is questioning why the police officers are discriminating, because in his estimation, there were different people who were involved but it is only the NDC person who has been arrested. And so they are monitoring the police with keen interest and as to how things will pan out. But, I mean, generally, really, must we continue to do this to ourselves before we are allowed to exercise our democratically given rights? Must we continue to bloodshed? Must we continue to do this? Dr. Marzuq.
The simple answer is no.
So why do we do that?
You see, first of all, I sympathize with all those who have been stabbed, and I pray for their speedy healing. I also send a message of sympathy to their families. You know, we are in this country, and look, if we want to be fair, don't take the version of MPP or the version of NDC seriously. No. Both versions will be influenced by partisan loyalty. An independent version should be taken. And in this case, we are, before I proceed with my analysis, I am appealing to the police, because it is the only institution on which Ghanaians must rely for accurate information, for fair information, for just dealing of the matter. So let the police be fair in this matter. And you know, this is in response. This is not in isolation. It is in response to the mentality of and the experience in the political associations in this, political affairs in this country. Kwame, if you remember, I don't know whether you were here or I think you were here when our Kumsin was alleged to have shot a gun. We were here. You were here when we discussed it, and I jovially called her the Kaswa Taliban. That was how I jovially, and I condemned that. You were here, you saw it.
No, I was here.
Then subsequently, all the time, you might have even followed my videos, even when I was in England. I issued a video. I have always called for the prosecution of all election-related violent cases in election 2020. You know, when you normalize these misbehaviors and people are not held accountable, definitely others will be emboldened.
You have said it all.
Yes, the culture of impunity will be an accepted norm.
That's it.
And I even sat here and called on the Attorney General and the IGP to first of all tell Ghanaians whether criminal prosecutions have been instituted against all those government officials, whatever, all those who have been involved in electoral violence. And I mentioned, I said, from Techiman barbarity to the Ayawaso brutality. I mentioned that. Let the Attorney General, the IGP, update Ghanaians if there is any. And if there's not, initiate criminal prosecution against all those involved in the electoral violent cases, or all those involved in the electoral violence in 2020. I mentioned, I've always called for that. Right? If you do not do that, and I mentioned the two main, there's a human barbarity, the Ayawaso brutality. For the Ayawaso brutality, there was an investigation, right? And there were certain recommendations. At least those mentioned should have been arrested.
I agree.
You understand that?
I agree.
But we are living in a country where everything is politicized. Never. When the NDC come to tell you that this is the case, don't take it. It is the NDC version, it's politicized. When MPP comes to tell you this is the case, don't take it, it is politicized. When the police come to tell you, question the police whether he is telling you in line with state policing or regime policing. This is another problem facing policing in this country. When state policing is relegated to the background, to give prominence to regime policing, we are going to witness all these things. I'm telling you. And election 2024 will be a response to election 2020. So, my brother, look, we are in this country, and both political parties, that a section of the political parties have been threatening, they have been taking violence. You hear people on air saying that we will go with cutlasses, we will do this, we will do that. No one is even invited. Nothing is done. And then the electoral process is being pursued in such a manner that seems to validate the threat. You understand that? It is not for nothing that Segi say that peace is a legitimate sign of justice. Without peace, you can never, without justice, you can never enjoy. Yes, peace. Peace is a legitimate sign of justice. I do not at all, I will never support any iota of violence. But any violence that is related to injustice seems to serve as a mechanism of justice. And let's come to, it goes from the police station, it goes to the Attorney General's department. Let's tackle issues of there too. You see, selective justice amounts to injustice. So if it is true that even at the point of arrest, some have been left out and others have been picked, that alone amounts to injustice.
You know, the law of equalization creates a problem for me. When anybody does something now, they tell us, oh, but when you were in power,
You did that.
you did this. You see, it's a defeatist and an attitude that won't help us. And people must take responsibility. But in the last 7 years, 7.5 years, we have seen things which one is beginning to or trying to come to terms with having an explanation for this under a self-styled human rights lawyer who is now president of the country. But if you look at the antecedents when he was an MP and what happened to people from the NDC in his constituency, some things won't come as a surprise. There are a number of issues here, and I like the way Dr. Masood has put it. You see, first and foremost, there are certain areas which are directly linked to certain individuals. Let me make this position clear. My dear sister Hawa Kumsin and my dear brother Afenyo Maki, my namesake, Alex, there's always issue in their constituency.
Why?
And they have both been there a while. It's not like they just came and they've been, and it's constant.
That happens to them.
Why? That is the one aspect of, and you, as we go, you find that there are some constituencies where if you look at the individuals involved, all kinds of things always happen in those constituencies. And it's not right. Before you come to the national one, I'm still trying to find an explanation for Ayawaso West Wogon. I'm trying to find an explanation for Techiman in the West. If you're on duty. So it doesn't matter where you are. You do your special voting the week before. If they assign you wherever they assign, you go. You have already voted. So why is it that they must come and register, transfer their votes into your constituency?
And what is the guarantee that they won't be part of the special duty?
No, they will be, definitely.
Yes.
It is to ensure that you are there.
Exactly.
Because they can assign you somewhere else. But you can get priority and say, well, I want to be here because this is where I vote. So, I want to be here.
So why?
If they don't even assign you, you are there. No. We want clarity on that matter. Because it's a recipe for disaster. Because people immediately begin to say, oh, you are coming definitely with violence. And people go and prepare for it. Let us understand very clearly where NDC sits on this matter. In Ayawaso West Wogon, the chairman of NDC pulled us out of the election at the time. That singular act was used against him in ensuring that he is no longer chairman of the party. And so the current chairman is in no way, even if it's for personal interest or not, going to pull anybody out of anything that is going on, because the party was not happy with that singular act. So it's no longer a question of, oh, if you misbehave, you'll be met with equal misbehavior. And it's not about me coming on air to say, oh, everybody be calm, don't do this, or don't. No, that's not it. It has gone past that stage. It is now for those who have power to exercise against those who are misbehaving on their side. I want to continue from where Dr. Masood left off. Anybody who has been injured, anybody who has been stabbed, we commiserate with them. We wish them speedy recovery. We wish them health back on all sides of the political divide. And sometimes you have just ordinary citizens who are captured in this thing. They are not even involved politically. So we wish everybody, and we would ask for calm heads to prevail. But the signs so far are not good.
No. Very scary.
The signs so far are not good. We must all recognize that just allow people to go and vote, leave, and then the vote is counted and the result given. But if you are trying to influence that vote through gerrymandering, etc., which people believe is real, please, the NDC will continue to police and question the actions of people legitimately. And all you have to do is give a cogent explanation. Why? In this exercise, people were bused to places and they were turned back. Because if you are wearing a school uniform and you live in the area of an adjoining constituency, why have you come to this constituency to register? They turn the number of buses back in different constituencies. So let us be clear that people are doing things. And I'm not going whether NDC, I'm just saying that, and it will be challenged. But they should use legitimate means, because if you push it, somebody to push you, especially where you are in an area. The leaders are not sitting there. Asudu Keja is not sitting in Kaswa. Fifi Kwete is not sitting in Efutu, etc. But people themselves are not going to allow anybody to cheat them. Let us be clear. And it is because of the things Doc said. When you have left everything to the powers that be and nothing is done, and people believe that they are some untouchables, they will not go and call anybody to come and touch them because nothing will happen. And that is where we are now. So those in power should begin to use anybody who gets step out of line, deal with it. But don't be letting people off the hook because they belong to one side or the other. Arrest everybody and find your issues. But how can you have made a determination already? Arrest my case.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Man. Yeah. Someone says he wants your number. He says, where is it?
He didn't try well. I thought he was going to say that she. Why is he there? Give the number.
The person may be a businessman.
Okay, this one, let me just read this message. This one says, Morning KOD, why are you drinking the tea alone? Oh, with the ambulance issue, I have a solution to it. If the chance is given me, Aiden, 10 gun. Okay, Aiden, send us your number, we'll give you a call. But let me come to you and hear a submission on this matter.
Ejura shooting.
Yeah,
yes.
Somebody actually sent me a message.
Yes,
It says
Ejura.
Yeah.
I don't know why we've left the Electoral Commission out of this.
No, I haven't. I think I think I mentioned that.
Yeah, you see, I think they are given adequate budgets to do what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
If you decide that the whole of Tema East and Tema Central should move to one point, then it means that you compel political parties to pass people to go
And vote.
and
Or register, sorry.
because you probably are doing cost sharing with the persons who have decided to go and register. And if the people do not have, young people 18 years, they are not working. So from say Newtown to Committee 4, you would have to pick a vehicle to Committee 1, then from Committee 1 to Committee 4. Or may have to walk. Now, what it means is that if he doesn't have the resources or doesn't have the energy, he's not eating the whole day, to go to the center, and because the political parties won their votes, then we'll have to go and solicit for them
Transport.
and get transportation and now move them to the center. And these are the basis for some of the chaos that we are experiencing. Because if they were registered, even if they were doing that on shift basis at a cluster of polling stations that may be around the same area, the people will walk from their homes and go there. And everybody in the area will know that this person lives here or that person lives here. And they've been here for 1 year. And so they have the right to register
there to vote.
So you wouldn't go to a school and bus school children and bring them to one electoral area to say come and register, because that would be
raise
too
challenges.
obvious
Yes.
for anybody to do it. But since they've decided to centralize the registration at their district offices, and so people will now have to find ways and means of getting to the district offices, it now creates that opportunity for people to say, okay, now let's then mobilize people. Because if we cannot get people who would support us, and so our opponents are batting a lot more people, then let's go to other constituencies where we feel that we have overflow and bat the people and bring them to register. And to me, it is a worry. Even with this transfer, just yesterday I had information that students from School of Health or Hygiene from Ho were bused to Tema to come and register. It comes with a cost, but it also means that in electing the member of parliament, you don't get the people who the member of parliament preside over to actually elect their leader. You get other people to come in to decide who the leader should be. And that means that the person will not legitimately be representing the people in parliament. And the citizen will not sit down and allow people to come and decide who should lead them. So they may resist. It may not necessarily be politicians, but every right-thinking citizen who believes that I have a right to elect who leads me will now resist. It's just like bringing in foreigners to come and register to vote and decide who our president should be. They do not care whether the person would perform as a president. For them, they will be giving money to exercise a franchise they do not have. And they don't care what happens once they've gotten their money. They go away. And they will let a president who becomes an albatross on our neck, and then we'll continue to live with it. We have a responsibility as citizens to hold first the Electoral Commission responsible for its acts that are creating all the challenges that we face. Because if the EC was doing its work well, I'm not sure we will get into these arenas of violence. Because if the people are registering at the right places and the EC officials, look, there are some EC officials who are openly sitting there and even engaging in political debate.
Let me be mischievous. If the EC, the government, had taken the money from the cathedral and given it to the EC, we all register in our own police stations. We all register, and this matter will not be even occurring. So to say that they don't have the money or it's cost effective, for me, the things we have spent money on, we should find the money. Period.
I agree.
Yeah. So you see, the cost issue doesn't come out when we are losing lives and when we are losing the credibility of the election. Because we've chosen democracy for ourselves. And we need to do it and do it right. I sympathize with the victim. I know him in person and all other victims because I'm in the fishing industry, so the minister is somebody I have regular interaction with. Fisherman. But you see, we are getting to a point where it is becoming dangerous. And I feel that the EC must first sit up and do its work right. Because the EC is the referee in this game. You watch football match and you see people getting violent. Why are they getting violent? They are not getting violent because they are playing against their opponent. They are getting violent because probably the referee is not being fair. And so when the referee is not being fair, you realize that the party that believes that we've not been treated fairly would want to protest. And in that protest, it may lead to violence. We also saw what happened on May 9th. So we need to have a referee that is officiating fairly. And once the referee is fair, at the end of the game, everybody is happy. People who have been defeated may even be teased and they will not talk about it because they know it was a fair game. But once they believe that it's not a fair game, any attempt to even tease them will cause violence because they know that the referee was on your side.
All right.
And the same applies to all other state institutions like the police. Because the police has a responsibility to ensure that we don't partake in the game. The police are not partakers in the political football game we are playing. They are supposed to be there and ensure that everybody falls in line.
I agree.
So if they are seen to be biased, then the confidence that the people have in them will be eroded. And once the confidence is eroded, people will now want to defend themselves.
I agree with
because
you.
the police won't be there to defend them.
100%.
And we'll have this thing.
I agree with you.
So we need to deal with the state institutions.
I agree.
On this
100%. And I'm sure all of us do agree. Alhaji Hamza in Pig Farm says, good morning to you, my brother. President Mohammed's promise to legalize Okada is in the right direction. I was particularly happy to hear that they are not only going to be legalized, but also be regularized and to be put on check. This will help check the increase of unemployment in this country. And I have no doubt President Mohammed will live up to his promise based on his track record. Don't also forget that the election 2024 is going to be based on employment and the economy. I also agree with you, Kwame, for the issues you have raised, but it is all about timing, because it will take a long time to deal with transportation system in this country. My greetings to my good brother Haj Marzuq and Honorable Segbafia, watching you with keen interest from my corner.
Toronto.
Hamza, Toronto.
Yes. Toronto. We take them. Thank you.
Alex Mark, you simply said hello. Oh, my brother. Good morning to you all. From the political history I have heard, it is the UP, now the NPP tradition, that is creating uncertainty in Gold Coast, now Ghana. Their main opponents was Almighty CPP, and now they have turned their attention to the NDC and the nation as a whole. as if the country belongs to them. From Amos in Asin Fosu. Thank you, Amos, for your message. His Excellency John Paul says, Keodi, good morning to you. Happy new month to you all. It is evident that our leaders do not think about the future of the young Ghanaians. Seeing the amount of money this government has borrowed is so alarming. Who are those coming to pay for that? Is it not obvious that it's our generation that will inherit this? See the losses the Bank of Ghana is recording as of 2023. We lost 10.5 billion Ghana cedis, and in 2024 we've lost 60.81 billion. Is it not clear that the MPP cannot properly govern our country? And I can call on all patriotic citizens of Ghana and the youth to come out fully in their numbers to vote the MPP out come December 7th election. December 7th, we must make JM president. Ghana deserves better. # bring back JM. Good morning to you, Pan African Television. I think Honorable Serifia wanted to make reference to this Ejura Kakai incidents. This one says, good morning to you, Pan African Television. I'm a teacher. Teacher Baba is Salaga Keodi. See how you struggle to fuel your car to office. Even though it's your own car, your worry is about safety. But think about those without cars that have to move and according to time.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.